Hi, this is Kristi Marriott. I am going to show you around my Canvas site that I will be using with my fifth graders. Um, this is going to be a little bit of a challenge because fifth graders are not used to Canvas, and so this will take a little bit of learning. But the goal is for them to complete a module in every 2 weeks. And I'm trying to decide if I want to put like week 1 to 3 or be more specific with dates. I probably will be more specific with dates and put module 1, and I think there are a total of 10 or 15 modules altogether that I'll be creating throughout the year. But this is I wanted to get down one module as a a template of what I expect each week. This might take a little bit longer in the actual doing, because my students will be learning how to do the technology as well as doing the skills themselves. So it'll be a little bit of a learning curve at first, but I think they'll get the hang of it after a couple of weeks. So each module will have these main skills, and then the sub things will be like assignments or practice that they'll be using. And this will change probably as I complete more and more and find more and more things for my students to do. So like for example, comprehension skills and strategies, will be using Basil Reader as our main text, and then we will go on and do things within that. And I already created, like, I think I did this first part, but like, I don't know, let me show you what it looks like. Comprehension skills, please listen and follow along as Louis Sachar reads the first chapter of A Package for Mrs. Jules. So our first story is A Package for Mrs. Jules, or From Wayside School is Falling Down. And I went on Edpuzzle and just got the first chapter, because on YouTube it has like the entire book, but I just got the first chapter, so it's not quite so long. And then these are some questions that they need to be thinking about for the next part. So let me go back. The comprehension assignment, this one kind of just is checking on whether they have the comprehension skills down. I'll be pairing my students in twos and possibly threes depending on the kids. I try to pair them with, for at least reading, I try to pair them with students that are close to the same level, because I want them to kind of feed off of each other's and to teach each other. Whereas if I give them to a much higher student to a lower student, they don't always, one person ends up doing all the work. So I try to keep them close to the same level, and I put the reading for them to listen to one time, because that helps, especially the lower readers. The higher readers don't need that quite as much. But so these are the questions that they need to answer on a Google Doc, which I'll be teaching them how to use that. Again, this will take a little bit longer, this module, because I will be teaching them some of those skills that they either are not familiar with or haven't used as often as maybe you and I do. There will be a rubric for a lot of the assignments, and there will be a lot of peer reviews, because frankly I don't have time to do all the correcting, but also, the studies suggest that peer reviews are one of the best ways for them to actually learn. But I'll have to teach them how to do that. So that's, again, part of fifth grade. They're still learning all of those things. So let me go back. Again, comprehension assignment 2, I was hoping to look on the web for some ideas for this one, just to kind of switch it up and make it a little more interesting. Then that's this comprehension, student text, questions and connections. Those all go together, basically. Connections to the text. I want them to kind of like how we have, you know, made these kind of connections when we do our stuff in our classes. Kind of want them to start talking to each other and making connections and seeing that there's so many things that you can connect to. I mean, just there's text to text, text to world, text to self, and I'll be explaining that within this connections part and expecting them to be talking to each other on the internet. So kind of creating this online world where, because they'll be doing this a lot more as they get older, as well as doing it face to face. So give them a little bit of both. Then there's a read aloud. Now this read aloud is a teacher read aloud, and it's one that that I will do, and I think, yep, I did. I created a little Camtasia link where I actually read the story to this story to them to introduce the vocabulary. And I'm not sure if I'm going to switch spots with this because I probably should start with this. But Ode to Lunch is what it is. It's a cute little poem. It's not really short. It's actually several minutes long, but it's a poem, and it has all of these vocabulary words which also go in with their regular text that they will read themselves. So, and they'll see it throughout the whole 2 weeks. So these are this vocabulary, and this is the read aloud, and it's to get them really thinking about, really listening and comprehending what people are saying. You may not realize it, but elementary kids, one of the big things is just teaching them how to listen. You might be frustrated with your own kids and be like, why can't you listen to me? Well, it's because they're learning how to listen, and this is their opportunity. So I hope that makes sense. So then down here, vocabulary, we're going to, those same vocabulary words that you saw up here will be in this area. And a lot of things that they need to know is how to find synonyms, how to find antonyms, what are synonyms, what are antonyms, and how do they connect to words. All the different words will eventually tie it into the practice and talk about like how to context clues and all of those things that help them to figure out what words are. Realizing that with our information at our hand, it's not necessarily that they need to memorize it, but they do need to know how to find it, and to know that it's good to have more than one way to understand what a word means. Anyway, hope that made sense. Sorry. Fluency check. This will just give me a chance. It's really hard. I'm going to have 30 kids next year. It's really hard to sit down and just listen to them one-on-one, but if I have it recorded here on this fluency check, that would help me out a lot. That will get it so that I can really listen and say, oh wow, this kid's struggling with fluency, or wow, they have the fluency down, but their comprehension not so much. So anyway, that's kind of what I was hoping to do, at least one time in the 2-week period. Speaking and listening, again, I have to look up more information on this one, so sorry that I don't have a lot for you, but it's the listening and the speaking skills and being confident in what you're talking about, and not just sitting back and enjoying the ride, but actually participating as well. So that's kind of what speaking and listening is. Word study, spelling, these are all different ways that they can practice their spelling. I'll be looking for some fun games. I think Spelling City is a really fun one, so I'll probably have a link to Spelling City that they can play some games with it. The weekly word challenge, or the weekly challenge, is basically a test, and I will be either doing Spelling City as a test, or I'll do there's a couple other places, but Google Forms has some options for doing a quiz, as well as brain fart. Is it Haiku? No, I can't remember what the other website is that will let them do their weekly challenge, and then every once in a while we'll just do a paper pencil practice test, or I mean not practice test, but paper pencil test, because I feel like just doing everything on the computer can be limiting in that when it comes time to write by hand, it's not that easy. So that's kind of where that is. Writing, now they're going to be, I said text connection here, but it's just going to be a different way to where I might ask them to read something else and make a connection. It's going to change every time. So this may be there, it may not be there, depending on what I found to kind of help supplement. Also, they will have a small group time, and so maybe the book that they're reading, I might ask them to write about it or whatever and respond as a small group. Organizing your ideas. So each 2-week period, they're going to be having a different genre of writing that they need to do. I think the first one is personal narrative, and so we'll be practicing those personal narrative skills and understanding what a personal narrative is. The first draft, second draft, a self-check, kind of going over the rubric, because I'll have a rubric for each one. But to really do the self-check, we'll probably do this together as a class the first few times so that they can really see what does it look like to do a self-check. They need to be taught that. It's really kind of challenging. And then the final draft, and then the peer review. So we've done the self-check. That self-check will kind of guide them with their peer review. We'll do this together. I'll either show them one that I have done or one that a confident student that doesn't mind sharing. We might do theirs together as a class just so that they can see what it looks like. I've done so many rubrics and so many opportunities for them to assess, but then I'm like, why aren't they doing this right? Because I haven't explained it and I haven't actually taught it. So I think the key is just examples and teaching and going over it. I will be throwing in more amazing websites that will go and teach some of these skills and give them opportunities, some games. I'm going to put in some Scratch. In my other class, I'm learning about Scratch, and so there's a journaling component to Scratch and some writing opportunities with that, as well as teaching them how to use different Google apps, and that'll help them with their writing and their vocabulary and their language skills in general. So this is just kind of a basic outline. I'm sorry I don't have more, but I hope to get a lot more. And I would really welcome any feedback. I wish that this was a little bit I wish I could color code them. Maybe I can, I just don't know how yet, because I haven't played around with Canvas as much as I'd like. But it would be great if I could color code it and make it easier for them visually to see, or if you have ideas on how to break it up so that maybe do the modules in differently, or I don't know. I hate to break it up too much because I want them to, I feel like they need to see all that's due in the 2-week time. But at the same time, I can understand how that might be visually daunting. And so if you have ideas, please, please, please let me know what you think. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed it. Bye.